So for WRR 101, I'm Emilio Alvarez, honored to be joined today by Music Director of the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, Maestro Fabio Luisi. Hello, Happy New Year.
Hi. Hi, thank you. Happy New Year to
How
you.
how was your holiday season?
Well, I had just 2 weeks off, and that was great.
Yes, I know you stay very, very busy. Mine, I'll tell you, this was slightly disappointing because I thought for certain this was the year that someone at the radio station was finally going to gift me a bottle of FL perfume. But maybe next year. I'll blame federal funding cuts for that. But I've been looking forward to our conversation today because, believe it or not, it's not every day that I get to talk about Bruckner or even listen to Bruckner. Can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with Bruckner?
This relationship started when I was a student. I was a student
Hmm.
in Austria, and until then, I was a rather Mahler guy and not so much a Bruckner guy.
Yeah.
Well, Mahler overwhelmed me with passion and with all this contrasts. So I loved Mahler, and it was so highly romantic in a very passionate way. And then little by little, I was attracted by Bruckner. It started with the 7th Symphony, and I thought this is a completely different way of making music, of composing music. And it is not like Brahms or Schumann or even Beethoven. And it is not like Dvorak, and it is not like Mahler. It's completely different. It's really one of a kind.
Well, I'm glad you bring up Mahler. Excuse me. Well, in my case, usually the discussion about Bruckner is usually in a highly religious context or attached to this label of heavy, like romantic extremism. And with that usually attached to Wagner or Mahler. Can you tell me what sets Bruckner apart from other late romantic composers and other religious composers of his day?
I don't consider him to be a religious composer, but I consider him to be a spiritual composer.
Mm,
So, and it is a kind of spirituality
hmm.
which goes beyond a confession. It
Mm,
goes beyond a particular religion, in my opinion. I think. Look, I am an agnostic guy,
hmm.
and nevertheless, Bruckner, like Verdi, like Beethoven, in their religious works, they
Hmm.
they appeal to me.
Mm,
They have a different, a higher value, and Bruckner is one of them, in my opinion. So it is a very deep spirituality,
mm,
and I mean, to feel the spirituality, you don't need to be a religious person.
mm. I love that you bring that up. Well, I help the listener a little bit here with me because Bruckner's music can sometimes be a struggle, well, across the board, not just for the audience, but for musicians, for conductors, not to mention for radio directors like myself. That's a whole other discussion. But let's start outward with the audience. Can you tell me, uh, sorry, let me get my notes here. With the audience, what should the audience understand about Bruckner and his music in order to sit down and fully be able to appreciate what's happening with the Bruckner Symphony?
This is a very tricky question because the
Hmm.
reactions of the audience are extremely different
Mm,
when it comes to Bruckner. So when it comes to Beethoven, almost everybody is happy to hear Beethoven. With
hmm.
Brahms, it's a little bit different, but okay, it's a romantic composer. You can follow the melodies, etc.
Hmm.
With Mahler, as I said, I was a Mahler addict, and it is
Hmm.
about this passion and this spontaneity and this all these extremes. Bruckner, it's a different, it's completely different thing. In Bruckner, if I am asked, how do we approach Bruckner, I would say don't try to approach Bruckner. Just listen and let it just how you react to this music. And just on a very elementary way, a very easy and simple way, listen and then you tell me, did you like it?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you like it? Because the experiences are very personal with this composer. And I've met a lot of people who say, "Oh no, Bruckner, it's terrible. No, never." And other, Bruckner is the highest of all composers, and so it's there cannot be more extreme evaluations of this composer and of his symphonies.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, as an occasional Bruckner consumer, my understanding of his symphonies completely changed when I learned that he was an organist for 3 decades before he ever wrote anything seriously. And so, and I can say this because one of my best friends is an organist, and for an organist, their mindset is basically, if my fingers or my feet can reach the note, it's the correct note. And so the resonance of the massive instrument basically takes care of anything that's happening harmonically. And so when I'm listening to a Bruckner symphony in my head, I'm thinking, where the hell are we going, and where the hell, or how the hell did we end up where we are right now? Maybe the answer is that there's just an organist in the driver's seat. Is that your experience too?
This is a way to understand Bruckner. So,
Hmm.
and the way how he composes symphonies is very close to how organist thinks.
Hmm.
And this is okay. This is a big, I mean, the organ is the king of the instruments. You can do
Right.
anything with the organ. And
Hmm.
he translates a little bit of this sensibility into the orchestra. Uh, but he's a master in how he uses the orchestra for explain his feelings and his melodies. And speaking of which, I think something which is going to be always a little bit undervaluated is the importance of the melodic lines in
Hmm.
Bruckner Symphony. Everybody thinks in terms of blocks, the
Hmm.
block of the string, and then the next block we have the brass, and then we have some blocks of chords in the woodwinds. But the melodies are so important because melody, and even if we take from him his religious heritage, the melody of the Catholic chanting of singing in the Catholic Church is very important, and he took this and explained that in his symphonies as well.
Well, I'm glad you're bringing this up, how the orchestra approaches this, because zooming into the musicians, it's not every orchestra that can play or will ever even choose to play a Bruckner symphony. What do you think uniquely equips the Dallas Symphony to play Bruckner so well?
Because they understand this
Mm,
composer, and I think the experience we had in the last couple of seasons with our Ring project
hmm.
helps them to understand Bruckner even more. For me personally, my experience with Wagner operas, and especially with the Ring, was a key to understand better Bruckner. We know that
Mm,
Bruckner was a Wagner guy, and
hmm.
he worshipped Wagner, I would say, and this is a key to understand this composer, in my opinion.
Well, you're hinting a little bit about your preparation. Can you tell me more about how specifically you prepare and what considerations you're taking as a conductor when you pick up a Bruckner score as opposed to a Wagner score or a Mahler score or anything like that?
Well, Bruckner tends in his symphonies to compose very clearly in a formal way, but
Mm,
it is so clear sometimes that the tendency of many of my colleagues is to separate these blocks in the formal construction of the symphony. And in my opinion, this is the wrong way to approach Bruckner because we have to connect and not to divide,
mhm.
like in life. So we should connect those parts in order to make it a whole, and this is so important.
Well, he makes it a challenge though, because in his compositions, they do seem very disjunct. It does seem like he moves so abruptly from one area to another. Do you have to spend extra time drawing these areas together? Is it straightforward in your mind, or is there some key to unlocking, creating this unique or this whole experience together?
The question is, for example, and I think this is your
Hmm.
question is there are so many pauses
Hmm.
in between blocks. So how do I consider these poses to be? What are they? Are breathing? Are they waiting? Are
Hmm.
they just a connection, or are they exactly interruption? What does he want us to do with those interruption of music? So what is this? This is one of the most important questions I pose to myself when I study his work.
Well, you've obviously unlocked something that has been nationally and internationally recognized when it comes to Bruckner's music. In fact, this year you're set to receive the Medal of Honor from the Bruckner Society. How gratifying is that for you? How do you feel about receiving this recognition?
Well, I'm very honored, of course, uh, and happy.
Hmm.
It is the third recognition I receive about Anton Bruckner, and the first one was a prize for my recording of the 9th Symphony with the Dresdner Staatskapelle. The second one was the Bruckner Ring in Vienna from the Wiener Symphoniker, and now one more. I'm happy and proud and grateful. Uh, I cannot say I am a Bruckner specialist. I love Bruckner, yes. I am a Bruckner lover, and apparently people understand that how I approach Bruckner with my orchestra is something they like and is something to explain better this music.
Well, I want to also congratulate you personally and to you and our symphony. You all make our city consistently very proud, and we at WRR are very privileged to get to be a small cog in the classical music community in North Texas. So thank you for taking the time. Congratulations. We're looking forward to this upcoming concert.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.